and welcome to Among the Jungle podcast. I'm botanist and host, Shai Kaina, and I'd love for you to join me as I interview the incredible plant people of Instagram to create an audio vault of inspiring botanical knowledge while harnessing a deeper connection with us in our natural world. If you're ready, it's time to inspire your wild. Welcome back, Jungle Dwellers, to episode 7 of Among the Jungle podcast. Today we're journeying to Emeryville, California, Agricultural Zone 10A, with Amanda Goldberg, owner of Planted Design, a company focused on connecting us with nature in unexpected places and in unexpected ways. Amanda is a regenerative designer and all-around believer in the positive power of plants on humans and in the spaces we work and live, and in the most visually stunning way imaginable. Her and her plant-passionate team have worked with over 80 globally and nationally recognized clients and have received 13 AmericanHort Awards, including 5 just this year for their custom design work, all while keeping sustainability and the future of our precious earth in mind. Today, we're enjoying the final episode of the fall season of Among the Jungle podcast, and in alignment with the winter solstice occurring later this week. For a visual journey to enhance this audio journey, I highly recommend checking out the show notes for this episode, which can be found at amongthejungle.com/007. From there, you can expand on the episode itself, as well as be directed straight to the creative depths of Planted Design's incredible online gallery. It's a super inspirational place to spend some time. Today, we're going to learn all about living walls and preserved moss paintings, about LEED certification and the benefits of including green spaces at work and at home, how to keep the workspace fun and exciting, and so much more. This energetic conversation is packed with content. So with nothing left to do but smile, 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 let's welcome Amanda to the jungle.
Thank you so much for having us.
Of course. So, Amanda, I would love to learn a little bit more about you and maybe what your first significant memory of plants is.
My first significant memory of plants is probably just growing up at my dad's house. He had a really amazing vegetable garden and was always tending to the garden, in addition to just having a really incredible house. I grew up in a passive solar home. And so one of the bases of our house was all glass and allowed for a lot of really nice sunlight that was all south facing.
So was that like an earth ship?
Yeah, so not an earth ship, but just passive solar envelope home. So all the windows are actually double paned to really trap in the heat, and then floor to ceiling windows that are all south facing. So the idea being that in the summer months when it's warm, there's a fan in the basement and also in the attic. And so in the summer months when it's hot, it pumps all the cold air from the basement up into the house. And in the winter when it's warm, where all the hot air is rising, it's going to pump all that warm air down back into the home. So it's really recirculating in that way and efficient in using its own warmth and cooling techniques.
Wow, that is so interesting. Very, very cool. Very cool.
I think it was pretty innovative for the time. My dad helped design and build that house in the 70s. But it really lent itself to have really amazing plants that could grow in the greenhouse. And so, we had a lot of really unique and beautiful different kinds of orchids. And he actually grows pineapples in there now.
Wow.
He has a green thumb. Yes, and loves growing a lot of different things. And I oftentimes send him succulents from California, and he'll propagate them. And every time I visit at home, I'll come home and they'll be bigger than any of my plants I actually have in my apartment.
Oh my gosh! Wow. What state is that house in?
He's outside of Philadelphia in Pennsylvania.
Okay. Oh wow! Really?
Yes.
On the East Coast, where they even get some cooler temperatures. Very interesting.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, that's where the passive solar design, I think, really came into play. So, I was really grateful to grow up in a house like that. It In my later years, I better understood what I was learning because I had lived it all those years.
Yeah, absolutely. So that kind of mentality and passion for kind of living with the earth was almost instilled in you on some level.
Absolutely. I may not have appreciated that time, but I certainly do now.
So how were you inspired to begin working with plants?
Yeah, I started working with plants at Syracuse University, where I studied industrial design. And for my undergrad thesis, I did a desk that at your feet, there was a base of grass for your feet to rest upon. And then there were 2 panes of glass as the tabletop that had plants that were constantly growing within the 2 panes of glass. And so It became this, yeah, it was really nice. And it became this whole nurture versus nature kind of design. And it just became a visual sign of time rather than dust collecting. It was these plants that were evolving and changing. And I was more initially inspired by the overall design, and I guess not as interested in the care of the plants, but just the functional design of that. And once I did that, I got really inspired to learn more about plants. And then I ended up doing my master's thesis on that same plant that I used in that desk. And I studied its effects on indoor air quality and to remove specific toxins from indoor air. So I started really with functional design, with the aesthetic of plants, but then became really inspired and wanted to learn more about what it was actually doing. The plants were actually doing not only psychological benefits, but also for air quality.
Wow, that's interesting. So what does that look like to be testing for things like indoor air toxins and plants and that relationship?
Yes, thanks for asking. So I had about 3 to 4 different rooms that were actually professors' offices. And I utilized a variety of different amounts of pothos plants within each room. And then I had a hobo data collector that would actually measure a variety of different levels, and then was then able to study that data to come up with a better understanding of what was actually going on in those spaces.
Wow, very cool. Oh, that's awesome. So what was the mission that inspired Plant to Design? And what did the journey of creating that look like for you?
Well, I always loved functional design, and I just was really inspired by my undergrad and master's thesis and wanting to couple the two together. So how do you meet functional design with plants? And I grew up going to trade shows with my mom, and just had a love of everyday things and how people interact with them. And so I just started, I actually did a team building exercise with Cradle to Cradle Products Innovation Institute where I was working, and we built a living wall together. And I was really inspired by just the process of getting people excited about plants and being part of the process and the build of this. It was also in the main office area. So I loved the mission of Cradle to Cradle. I loved the people there. And I think once I was able to really have that experience, I knew that was my next step. And a lot of my background lent itself to, starting to do living walls, but I just never knew it. So I feel in a way divinely guided into this.
To agree, after hearing all this, it sounds to me like you were divinely guided to this path as well.
Absolutely. I had a lot of interest growing up, and my parents really allowed me to pursue, the artistic route, but I never really knew where it would lead me. And so industrial design, I always resonated with, but I knew I wasn't exactly an industrial designer, and I knew there had to be more. And I think studying sustainability and getting into plants was really the missing link. And then beginning to do the living walls, it just all made a lot more sense.
Yes.
Kind of breaking out of the norm of design and what it should look like and what it could look like, and just kind of being able to dream big and integrate plants within that.
Yeah, and you guys really take that for a turn, being able to put plants in places you don't expect, places that plants don't normally go. Even some of your creations even allow for not requiring light and some of these other aspects that, can be troubling if you're trying to cover your whole house in plants. There's just some aspects that some living plants just won't go in. So it's very interesting that you guys have really seemed to turn the whole mold on what you can do with plants. That's really powerful.
Absolutely. I think a lot of our customers that are interested in doing trade shows really wanted to do these big, massive living walls, but they also wanted to pack them away for a year and not have to care for them. And they would imagine that they would come out looking lush and beautiful, as the day that they were there. And the reality was it was just not, it couldn't happen. And so that was kind of when we started looking into doing the mosses, which were preserved. So you actually could have that, and that you could have a beautiful green wall, pack it away for a year and bring it back out. And it would truly be as lush and vibrant as the day that we first installed it. So we'll design it in different ways that they can easily ship, set up, break down, and be placed into, a customized cargo that will then hold it. So we ship them all over the country and really try and design for those needs.
Wow, that's so interesting. So did you start Plant to Design with living walls?
Living walls were always my passion. Plants are absolutely my passion. I absolutely love them. I love how much they give, the whole nurture versus nature aspect of them, how much we give to them and how much they truly give back to us.
Yes.
And so, that's kind of how that started.
So how have your services changed since then? What do you guys offer now?
That's such a great question. So we definitely love creating new and unique projects and innovating. And so we do a variety of living walls as well as moss walls. But we've recently, not even recently, I think since the day I started the company, have always tried to think outside of the box of how to introduce nature in unexpected ways. And so we've, recently done shelving for kiosks. So taking pre-existing infrastructure and adding onto it in a way that's also removable. We've done freestanding moss shapes. We recently did a 12-foot pyramid of flowers flowing out of a watering can.
Wow.
I mean, we did a 20 by 20 rose wall for an event. And so they're all really unique and no two truly are the same. And I think that's what really inspires the whole team and the whole creative process and keeps everyone, especially our team, just fully engaged. Is just that you're always problem solving. There's always unique challenges and everyone's learning and growing from that.
So you guys are really doing a lot of custom work.
Everything we do is custom. So sometimes it's, it definitely presents its own challenges for that, but it is always keeping us on our toes. Every team member has such a big part within that.
And do you use only living plant material in these designs? And how do you sustainably source that material?
So my background is in regenerative design, and sustainability is certainly very, very much important to us. So we work with local nurseries, and all of our vendors are also ecologically forward and diligent stewards of the land. And then we're always looking for different ways that we can reuse and recycle everything we're doing. So even just our rental walls, they're very low impact when we do put them or ship them anywhere, in that there's not a lot of packaging, they're being reused, and we try and sustainably source as much as we can.
It's incredible that you guys are able to ship these large-scale products all over. Do you ever run into any problems with that?
Well, I think that's where my industrial design background comes into play. I love systems and kits of parts. So we really build them in a way that you're able to pack them flat or ship them in a certain way with the ease of setup when we arrive on site. So we're really forward thinkers in how we design and build. And so we're really having to just troubleshoot on site. So we become, in that way, a bit of a production company because of that. It's a lot of logistics. It's a lot of design and thoughtfulness. And I think that's what's made a lot of our installations a success, because we're so thoughtful in that initial process of how we design.
Yeah, almost like you guys are creating a reverse puzzle, something that can just be easily pieced together on the other end.
Absolutely.
That's so cool. So the installations that your team creates, some of them are, they seem to be very large scale, very design intensive. I'm assuming that you guys also have to implement lighting installations and stuff like that as part of your design. So how long can this creation process take? And how many are you typically able to create or install in a year? I'm sure that varies on size and stuff like that, but.
Absolutely. It's a great question. So it typically takes us about 2 months, and it really depends on the size of the installation and the overall design. But approximately 2 months. And we've been in business for about 5.5 years. Gosh, I don't even know how many projects we've done, but I would say between maybe 50 to 70 per year. and they are fairly large scale. So, but generally it takes us about anywhere from 45 to 60 days to actually be able to build the installation, deliver it, and install it.
Wow. And what is one of your favorite and one of your most challenging installations that you've installed?
Absolutely. So we did a residential project in Pleasanton, and it was a very large scale project. It had a variety of different zones for watering, as in each zone had its own kind of floral and foliage design. And so when you first entered in through, it was an extended driveway that went into a pool, that went into a kitchen, and it kind of wrapped around. It was about, 1,400 square feet. And it was really unique. And so to me, what was most exciting is when you consider the area that was a bit more public facing, we put in a lot of different florals and plants that were really fragrant, that were going to bring around a lot of natural pollinators, but also were really aromatic. So it kind of drew the person walking by, really would draw them in. We even had strawberries hanging off the wall. And as you entered more into the space, into the driveway, there was a variety of succulents. And so it created this big succulent design. And then from there, it went into this pool area, which we created to be more of a meadow aesthetic. And it was interesting because the pool was heated, so it became a different area. So we had to take that into consideration. It then wrapped into the kitchen area that we did. It was a kitchen and entertaining area, which we then did a lot of different kind of herbs, so that when our client was grilling, he could literally pluck it off the wall and be able to use it to grill or make cocktails with, which was really fun. So, and he really gave us free reign on whatever we wanted to do, which was great and also challenging, because you really want to show up in this way that you're giving the client what they want, but they just have full faith in you to, build something really bright and vibrant. And I love colors. So it was a really exciting project. He was such a lovely client to work with, and he just really allowed us, free reign on whatever we thought would be best. And it turned out beautifully. And we actually have an amazing video of that online as well that shows the whole process. So that was probably one of my favorite projects we've done. And I would say one of my most challenging projects was it was about a 4,000 square foot moss wall we did. It was in about 12 different locations. And so if you could imagine, just one of the floors was a 50-foot wall by about 9.5 feet high. And there was 8 of those kind of stacked on top of each other. And it was a really amazing project. And it integrated a lot of LED lights that were essentially woven throughout it. But it was challenging because there was a number of stakeholders that had a very large say in the design. And so ultimately it was great to work with all these different members and really find a place that everyone was in an alignment with design. But it also was challenging in that way because everyone's voice was really valuable, and we wanted to make sure that they were heard and understood. So it actually was, I would say, one of my proudest installations with this team as well. But it was certainly one of our most challenging, I would say.
Yes, it always is a little bit more challenging when you have a lot of different people's ideas and opinions and stuff. But I'm sure it all together created something really magical.
It is absolutely magical. That is the best word to describe it.
Your team is really responsible, it seems like, for greening up like some very large, even corporate buildings. What are some of the benefits for businesses and for the people of greening up these spaces? And could you touch a little bit on LEED certification for people who aren't aware of what that is?
Absolutely. I'm actually LEED accredited as well. When I was doing my master's in regenerative design, I was thrown into that master's program because of the LEED accreditation that I had received. And so I was really inspired by LEED. Within LEED, you can receive the ratings, and system has changed since I last took the exam and was a part of it. But there are points that you can get dedicated to biophilia within LEED. And so, just generally speaking, having these plant walls around, they're going to increase everyone's well-being. That's walk by, just your psychological benefits of being around greenery has a calming effect to the human spirit. And in addition to that, just the sound absorption benefits. We actually do have some live green walls in the space right now, which are hopefully buffering the sound that you're hearing in this conversation.
Oh, that's awesome.
Absolutely. So if you hear us really cleanly, and crisp, it's definitely the plant walls in our space.
So I need to be reconsidering how I'm soundproofing my audio space is what you're saying.
We can absolutely help you out with that. Yes. But yeah, they do really have good sound buffering absorption. So I do recommend that in louder spaces. And then just generally speaking, back to the master's thesis that I had done, is just about how plants can remove specific toxins from indoor environments. And with all the new buildings that are being renovated and built in San Francisco, oftentimes they're built with inoperable windows. And so you have a lot of recirculating air, and we're getting all these new furnishings like new carpets and couches and desks and just even copy machines. They all release a significant amount of VOCs, and plants are a great opportunity to help remove a lot of those VOCs from spaces. So that's also going to help with sick building syndrome. Wow. But ultimately, I think whether you have a green thumb or not, it's always so wonderful to just have them, in your periphery and really get to enjoy that whole experience.
Wow, that's so incredible. I always say, even just around my house, I said in the last episode that we did that we don't like to buy anything new that's made of plastic or anything like that, because I can literally smell it, like the plastic. And so I think that's very interesting that you were able to specifically touch on what plants are taking out of the air and how they are specifically helping in those ways.
Absolutely.
I think people often don't think about when you bring in new furniture and stuff like that into your home, that can have harmful things that are being leached into the air as well. So that's a great point.
Absolutely. And a lot of off-gassing can go off for, specifically, I think even in paints, they can exist within a space for up to 3 years. So it is something to be aware of. They're certainly all around us. They're going to be present, but what are different techniques that we can use to kind of support and balance that out a bit more? And I think plants are a great opportunity to do that.
Now, is that more specifically the living walls? Do the moss walls or the moss paintings have that same effect at all?
So that's a great question. The moss walls are going to be more beneficial in terms of just the biophilia benefits as well as the sound absorption, whereas the living walls will also give way to supporting the air quality.
The moss walls require a lot less maintenance, correct?
So yes, the moss are essentially maintenance-free. They're preserved, so they don't require any water or sunlight.
Okay.
And just require an occasional dusting.
Wow, okay. I saw in one of your videos on your YouTube page your largest plant wall installation. And I saw that you guys love to put lots of good vibes and stuff into your plants, and you were all dancing around, and it made me smile so much that was a mission that you guys were really trying to, of course, not just plant these plants and make a beautiful scenery, but you're also putting a lot of good energy into that as well. So I'm interested, what are some other practices that you use to keep things fun and interesting at work?
Yes, it's all about the team. At the end of the day, I could not do this alone. The team supports me in every facet of this business. And so, we really like to play music while we're building and these installations. And we also do a lot of sort of bonding offsite activities. We really try and take time for the team to build each other up and to just get to know each other more on personal levels as well. Ultimately, our whole office space is filled with plants. And so we've got our own living wall and moss wall projects hung all over the studio. And it's just, I think being surrounded by that type of environment is also really helpful. So we take great pride in our space and also putting the team first. We couldn't do it without each other. Even, it took me a little while to truly understand this. And my biggest advice to other people is really putting the team first. For a long time, I think I always was so dedicated to making sure that it was all about the client. And the reality was it was about the team first and the client second. Because if we are solid here, we're creating these beautiful installations for all of our clients to make them really happy and wow them. But it all starts with us first.
That's so true. If you guys have something really powerful between you, there's no limits on the amount of things that you guys can create together.
I completely agree. And you can feel that in the amount of love and thoughtfulness
Yes. I mean, even just in the enjoyment, I mean, you can feel the energy from you guys and your smiles and everything that you guys are having a really great time while you're doing what you're doing. That's super powerful.
And good music always helps. We love a good dance party and love to get down. I mean, we definitely are a group that likes to play and party, and it's always surrounded by plants.
And plants love dance parties too.
Absolutely. Who doesn't love a good dance party?
Absolutely. Yes. I had one this morning. I will not lie. So,
good. Oh, good.
We have a morning dance party every morning with my dogs and my plants. That's a morning requirement. Part of the routine.
Well, you'd be hired here.
I love it. I'm definitely keeping my mind open for that if we wind up in California in the future.
Give us a call.
So I'm curious in talking a little bit about some of your experimental projects, some of the temporary ones that you guys do for exhibitions and stuff. Are those done living plants? Are they done with cut flowers? They're just so beautiful and involved. Or are they moss?
They're all of them. They are all the things that you just said. Like I said, no two are really the same. So we did a giant mint wall that essentially it was for a brand that loved, they were a liquor company, and one of their staple cocktails included mint. So we built a freestanding wall for them. They had 3 events in 3 different cities in one day. So like I said, we're definitely a bit of a production company, and being able to staff that both, it was in Chicago, Manhattan, and Brooklyn. And so, it's so fun because people would go and they'd get the liquor from the bar, and then they'd come up to our wall and pluck mint off the wall and put it right in their drink. And it becomes this, you're a part of this experience. For the company that served the liquor, that, it was great to get their customers really involved in how to make the drinks. And it just became this really nice experience that people could have. And, so we've done things like that. And then we've also done just, different freestanding moss shapes, or, we did a giant edible wall, for a smoothie company that was about, I would say, a 20-foot by 10-foot wall that had a variety of cabbage and bananas and carrots and apples, and all on this massive wall and it existed there for about 4 or 5 days. And then that installation was taken down. So some of our events, we'll ship out our rental walls and design them up in a custom way. And then sometimes we'll build something that will be used at that occasion, and then be composted afterwards. So it's just as a variety of different kinds of things. And like I said, we are inspired by not doing the same thing twice. So we love these unique challenges.
So that's super interesting. You guys also compost projects that you take down?
Yes, oftentimes. I mean, most of our stuff is all greener, live greenery. And so if it can't be donated or gifted to the client or, consumers walking by, we'll compost everything.
So would you say that your business is pretty low on producing waste?
Absolutely.
That's beautiful. Is Plant to Design involved in the community?
Absolutely. On a personal level, it feels really good to be a part of the community. So oftentimes we'll do gallery shows at various locations so that anyone can really buy our stuff at gallery shows. And so for me, I'm a huge rock climber. And so we just did a gallery show at the rock climbing gym, which was really wonderful. And it's a great opportunity to start conversation with a lot of, our local community around us, and also for even a lot of our employees to be able to share that with their community as well. So we love being, in any opportunity that we can show our work, we do. And we actually just hung a show at a small coffee shop down the street from us, Ruby's, just because we go there every day. And so to us, it's such a great part of our local community. And we really want to show up and support other small businesses in that way.
Yes, absolutely. That's one of my favorite things about coffee shops and businesses like that, is the opportunity for having unique art in there. And it's art that's typically installed temporary. So it's such a conversation piece. There's always something new to talk about or new to see. So when you walk in and see that new installation, it definitely inspires some new thoughts and feelings. So that's very cool.
Yes, we feel the same way. It feels really good to be a part of it. And Berkeley, Oakland is where I've lived for the last gosh, like 6 or 7 years. And I definitely want to be able to share with everyone the work that we've been producing here and allow people to have a piece of this in their home or offices as well.
Absolutely. I am already measuring in the place above my fireplace. Ever since, like, I went down the rabbit hole of your guys' moss walls and stuff, and I was like, okay, I have to have one of these. I've been trying to figure out, we just bought a new house this year, and the thing with our house is it's got vaulted ceilings and just very large walls everywhere, huge walls. And I'm like, I don't know what to do with all these huge walls. I mean, I've put tons of tall plants in here, but I'm like, they still have a ways to grow before anything's going to get like tall enough to be up there. So once I was really diving into your guys' website, I was like, oh yeah, one of these moss paintings would be beautiful right above the fireplace.
Oh, yeah, you should definitely do that. I mean, we can do different kind of rainbow colors, whatever you want.
That's amazing.
We really like to make sure that it's unique, one-of-a-kind pieces. And yeah, it sounds like you're a great candidate for one of these.
I loved your guys' colorful Grateful Dead one. Oh, that was so cool.
You are speaking to my heart right now. That was all the Grateful Dead ones we've done have just been solely passion projects for me to personally do when we had like a moment of downtime. It's been really great. I did a really nice dancing bear that I was able to gift to my dad. And we did a big Steal Your Face that I actually was able to gift to Phil Lesh at Terrapin Crossroads. And that was like such a special, magical moment for me on a personal level. So yes, thank you for bringing that up. I would hope that we could find somewhere to put the Grateful Dead in this conversation. So I'm glad that we've reached that peak, you know?
Yes, absolutely. Yes, that one, as soon as I saw it, I was like, wow, okay. Like, of course, your work is so beautiful. And even though they're natural, like every piece is in its perfect place.
Great. I'm so glad that you said that. It's definitely some of my favorites as well. And those have really been ones that I've just done to be able to gift away.
So cool. But it also shows that you can really customize these to be anything. I mean, you can really create you can use plants or plant material and really create just about anything from it.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. You can just get so creative with botanical designs and just in general, the foliage and florals that we offer, we have probably over 100 different kinds. And so really dream up and put together is just, the sky's the limit with it. And so regardless of us loving to do custom projects, no matter what we're doing, they're all so unique. Even if we were kind of going to do the same thing over and over, no two would really be the same because each plant and leaf has its own natural variation. And that's what I'm excited about. I really thrive off of that and just, really exploring different opportunities to make something truly special and unique.
I think it's really important to know how you thrive as a person and knowing that challenge and going into each day and each project, it being something totally unique and different. And that's the space that you thrive in. I think that you really just found your perfect niche.
I feel very, very lucky. And I think truly, if you just follow what you're passionate in, regardless of what you think it's going to lead you to, you'll get there. All the roads will converge at some point, and for me, it was functional design meeting plants.
Yeah. And you never know until all those little pieces from behind you come together, that aha moment that's like, oh, so this is where I've been leading all along the way. It doesn't always look like the perfect path when you're on it, but it
certainly
gets you there.
Not.
It gets you
sure
there.
Does. Yes. But I think just following your passion in anything you're doing, hopefully leads you to that point of just, it's so important to be happy in what you're doing. There's always going to be challenges, but, at the base of it, having that love and passion for plants was, what really works for me. And, I think my whole team feels the same way. They're all plant people.
Yes, you can definitely get a feel for the energy of your team from your site as well. And from your guys' YouTube videos, I think that those are all really great things that you offer to people because like you said, a lot of your work does happen behind closed doors or is in private situations. And so it's nice. Those videos and things really make it feel like we get to peek in on what you guys are doing and kind of be a part of it.
Absolutely. We truly shoot a lot of those videos more for our team than anyone else. Oftentimes the journey of designing and building them can be, like I said, almost 2 months. And so it's really nice to bring the team back together and show them, what was this journey we were all just on together. And it just becomes a really memorialized story for us personally. And we're so happy to share that with the public. But I think, the more you become removed from the project and you forget oh, what is the goal that we're building towards? It's just a great reminder of hey, we were all on this together. All of us had such a great hand in it. And here's that whole story wrapped up so we can just remember it and also share it with our community.
Almost taking a step back from the painting.
You have to take a step back from the painting.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's so important because it's very easy to get caught in the small detail. But the reality is we're building these massive walls. And so when you can really take the steps back and admire it, it's wow, look at what we just accomplished. This is amazing. It took so many different hands and through so many different processes to actually build it. So it's just a celebration of the journey with the team that we just built this with.
Yes, I always think that when I see someone painting a mural on a huge wall or something, and I'm just wow, they're so close to the situation, focusing in on those tiny details so much, but it still winds out at the end being this huge, beautiful picture. And it seems very similar when you're in there using the plants as your paint, and those are all your little fine details that you're focused on. But then at the end, stepping back, you actually get to see what it's all unraveled to be. That's really beautiful.
Exactly.
I'm curious if you have any house plants at home and if maybe you have a plant with a story.
Wow. I have so many houseplants at home.
That's great to hear.
Just the same at our warehouse too. We are certainly surrounded by plants and they pretty much all have really great stories of where they came from. At home, I definitely created my space to be a sanctuary to myself. That's really grounding and calming. And that definitely includes a lot of plants. I've never counted how many plants are in my space, but I would say off the top of my head, maybe 50 plants in there. It's definitely a jungle, and there's definitely some large trees that I would say are 8 feet tall.
Awesome.
And, definitely all have a unique story.
Yes, exactly.
I would say I still have one of I use for my master's.
From your master's program?
Really large, multiple rooms at this point, and oftentimes I'll take cuttings of give friends. So it's become this plant that has babies all over, circulated within my friend community, and they're really easy plant to care for, and they're super hard to kill. They're very easy to propagate, and they're one of NASA's top 3 air purifying plants. So it's always great to be able to have a little story with it that you can share of the benefits of it, and also it's just. It's kind of like a legacy plan at this point.
Yes, that's one of your pothos, right?
That's exactly right. Yep.
Okay. I think I saw maybe you guys posted a picture of that on your Instagram where it was kind of vining all out.
Absolutely. We've probably posted a good amount of them. My house is a jungle. I'd like to be able to share actually a couple more photos of it, and I'm sure we will shortly.
Absolutely. And I'm going to add a couple in the show notes for this episode as well, so we can see a few of those plants.
Oh, thank you. Wonderful.
So one thing that you mentioned on your website, on your team page that I absolutely loved is that you said plants lean on each other and adapt in order to succeed, and we do the same. So I'm wondering where we can continue to support you and follow your guys' journey online.
Well, a great place to follow our journey online is definitely on Instagram. We're also on Facebook and Twitter at Planted Design. And so you can definitely check us out there. We're really trying to post a ton just to keep everyone updated on what we're up to and different builds that we're doing. And in addition to supporting us, just being open to learn about new plants, that really fills us. We're plant people and we just want to share that excitement with others. Another spot that you're able to see us is just on our website. We have a great client gallery. That's a really wonderful spot to get inspired and just to kind of really get to dream dream green and get your creative juices flowing of what could be done with plants and where you can put them in, unique situations and unique ways. And so that's always a great place to just go to feel inspired and peruse some greenery.
Absolutely. I loved that dream green. That's so great. Yes, that is an incredible place to get inspired. If you are looking to green up any aspect of your home, definitely, I spent a good amount of time scrolling through your guys' projects and through your gallery page, and there is one project in particular I loved on there, which I think it was a preserved moss project, but it looked as though you guys created it for maybe an office building, and it was a aerial view of their property. Like it had the buildings and the roads and everything on it, it looked like, and then it was like a moss backdrop. That was so cool.
Yeah, absolutely. That was actually the campus map. So we tried to just take a campus map and kind of make it into this abstract art using a lot of our different kind of florals and foliage. And it really turned out really unique. And it's a functional piece also that you can really showcase where you are, where you need to go.
Yes, I thought that was so cool. Thank you so, so much.
Oh, it's our pleasure. Thank you so much for having us. We're so excited to get to share our journey and experience with you.
Yes, thank you.
Australia is something else, isn't it? It's so exciting knowing that just by having a bit of their wild flora in your home, that you are a huge part of the conservation of their species. And just by learning more about plants and growing your passion of plants, you are part of the protection of the health and well-being of this planet. Of course, I have a challenge for you this week. I challenge you to discover which plants in your collection are Australia natives and take photos so I can share with the community on Instagram. Be sure to tag us at Among the Jungle Podcast. Of course, be sure to follow Aloha Shy and Among the Jungle Podcast on Instagram. You can find the show notes for this episode at amongthejungle.com/008. Please, 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 please subscribe, rate, and review this podcast. And if you learned something new today, it would mean the world to me if you shared this podcast with your favorite plant friends. We're building a righteous community here, and the more amazing plant people, the better. I hope this episode inspired your wild, and I hope you are left fascinated by the magnificent ways plants have adapted to diverse climates over the course of millions of years, and are even able to survive in your own living room. Until next week, jungle dwellers, love, light, and aloha. I am so grateful to the plants that bless this beautiful earth, and to you for choosing to nurture a wild place inside of your heart. I hope this episode inspired your wild, and I'd love to hear your feedback, suggestions for future guests, and other botanical notes at amongthejungle.com or Among the Jungle on Instagram. It's been lovely exploring this exotic world with you today, and I look forward to where the journey takes us next week. Mahalo for tuning in, and stay wild.